Hello, this is a brief tutorial of some of the components of Follett Destiny's OPAC version 17.0. During this tutorial, I will go over how to run circulation reports, conducting an inventory, running a collection age report, printing barcodes and spine labels, and running unused barcode reports and also custom indexes. I was also supposed to discuss backing up the system. However, that is usually done at the district level, and so I'm unable to demonstrate that for you. Usually, most districts will back up the systems at night when school is out of session. And like with any other important database or system, it is important to keep that updated and backed up in case something were to happen and the system were to crash or something like that. So I'm going to begin by demonstrating how to run a circulation report. And here we are on the home screen, and we're going to select reports. And on the left-hand side of the screen here, we're going to select library reports and then scroll down to under the heading of circulation, and we're going to select current checkouts and fines. Here we have several options here. We want to leave checked out and overdue materials. We want to leave that checked. And then we can specify in a little more detail if we need to. I'm going to leave it as all of the materials that are currently overdue. However, if you just want to run a report on materials that are extremely overdue, like say from the beginning of the school year, you could specify that information here. I'm also going to uncheck the boxes, resources assigned to a custodian, as well as the unpaid fines because our district does not assess fines for library materials. It is also important to note that here is where you would also select if you wanted to print out individual notices for students, you would select notices, and you can also print those in different languages if need be. I'm going to leave it as one individual report, and I'm going to continue. And here, under our different types of patrons, I want to make sure that I leave the box next to active status checked because those are the patrons that are currently enrolled within the school. It also may be helpful for you to select this box, patrons of other sites that have materials that are owed to your school, because I'm in a particularly in a district that has a large transient population, so a lot of times students will withdraw from our school and go to another school, and this helps keep track of um, when students may have withdrawn but they didn't return their library books. So once we've done that, we're going to select continue, and I'm going to sort this by homeroom, and I'm just going to focus on Dr. Davis's homeroom here. This is helpful because you may have a homeroom teacher to come and ask what particular library materials their students have checked out, and you can break this up without having to run a report for the entire school. I would also, here you have some other options. I like to include the cover image if it's available because that a lot of times will help jog students' memories. So once we've done that, we would run the report, and I've actually already done it, so I'm going to scroll down here and view that report. And here we have all of the overdue materials for the students in Dr. Davis's homeroom. It has when those materials were due, the barcode number, as well as the title. And I believe if we scroll down a little bit, you can see an example of a cover image for one of the titles that is missing. Well, perhaps it's not here. Well, it would show up in this area right here if the cover image was available. Sometimes it is, sometimes it is not. So I'm going to close out that report. I'm going to go back home, and next we're going to talk about conducting an inventory. Usually inventory is conducted once a year, and it's useful for learning what's in your with what materials you have in your library. So to do that, you would go to back office from your home screen, And on the left-hand side, you would select inventory, which is already highlighted here, and you would start a new inventory. You would give that inventory a name. So here we have, just do fall 2019, do _3. And here it's important to note that you can break up your inventory and just do specific ranges. It is quite extensive to have to scan all of the books in your media center, so you may want to break it up and do one inventory for your fiction books, another one for your nonfiction materials, and so on. So I'm just going to break it up and do 000 to 999, and you would select OK. Okay, yes, you want to run this inventory. And this is where you would begin scanning all of your materials within that particular range. As you scan the materials, they would show up right up under this box here. If you had a file with all of your barcodes, you could upload that as well. As you're scanning here, because this is a tutorial, it would start at 0%, and then as you scan, of course, it would gradually increase. But once you're done scanning, you would just click here, and you would see all of the titles, or the number of titles that have been scanned, the number of titles that are unaccounted for, which in this case is 0. That's unlikely to happen in your media center. But once you've done that, you would run the report, and here could view that particular report. And it would look like this, where you would have all of the materials that were scanned in that particular inventory. Again, you have your barcode number, your call number, author, title, and when that particular book was last seen. So for example, if it was circulated in September, that date would show here. Okay, so I'm going to close that out. And next we're going to discuss printing barcode and spine labels. To do that, we would go to reports, and again under library reports, we would scroll down and we would look at under the heading of labels, and you see we have different options. We could print out barcode labels, reading program labels. For example, if you want to print out labels labeling your accelerated reader books, you could do that, as well as your spine and pocket labels. So we're going to first begin by looking at barcode labels, and we would do that here. This is extremely helpful if you've made an order of books and the books were not processed, meaning they do not have the barcode labels already affixed to them. You could print them out once you've uploaded your MARC records, and you would just put the dates, what date that you uploaded them, and it would just break it down by those particular books. Here you would select what you wanted printed on your barcode label. You could have the site name. I like to include the title, the author, the call number. If you didn't want your individual school name here, you could also select district name. So I'm going to go back. It is also important to note that if you are printing out barcode labels, it's been my experience that these Avery white address labels are extremely helpful. They work really well. They can be purchased at Staples, Home Depot, and like I said, they work really well. So once you finish with all of that, you would run your report, and here, view the report. This is what it would look like. You would just put your labels into the printer, print them out, and affix them to your books. Okay? It's also important to note that when you are circulating books, if you checked in a book, or if you were able to pull up a barcode for a book, I can't demonstrate it because I don't have a scanner or any library books here. However, if you were to do that, usually in the right-hand side of the screen, they give you an option to print labels. That's extremely helpful if you just need to reprint labels for a particular book. For example, if the label has fallen off or it's faded and you just need a new label. Again, you could do that from the circulation tab and once you scanned in a book. Okay, so we're going to go back to looking at collection age reports. This is helpful when you want to kind of do an assessment of the materials you have in your media center, especially when you're getting ready to make an order. It will help you to kind of figure out what materials need to be updated and things of that nature. So to do a collection age report, from the home screen, we would go to reports, and we would be under library reports again, and we would scroll down to statistics. And here we would do collection statistics summary. So once we select that, you see here we have, this is giving us information regarding circulation, but we want to look at the age. So we would select age over on the left-hand side, the right-hand side. And here it breaks it down by the call numbers that we have in our media center. So if we wanted to focus on books from 000 to 99, we could see that we have 77 titles within that range, and the average age is 10 years. This is extremely helpful, like I said, when you want to make an order. For example, I'm looking at the 500 books, which are a lot of your science-based books. A lot of these books, the average age is 16 years, which means a lot of the information in these books is outdated. For example, if a student were to select a book about the solar system, it is likely to still tell them that Pluto is a planet. So again, this is very helpful when making orders for your media center. Next, we're going to run an unused barcode report. So again, we go back to reports, and right here under library reports, first one under catalog, titles, and copies, our barcode list. And you see we can identify used and unused barcodes. So we would select that. And I might want to look at the barcodes ranging from $9.99 to $2,000 and see which barcode numbers are not being used within that range. So once I run that report, and let's see, I can refresh it. And there we have that report. We view it, and we would see here that these barcodes are not being used. So if we needed to print barcodes, we could use those particular numbers. Okay, finally, I'm going to show you how to run a custom index. This is extremely helpful when you're looking for materials, not based off of the author title, but for example, if you had a student who wanted to find books within their Lexile range. So to do that, we would go to reports, and here we would select report builder. Once we have done that, wait for the screen to come up, we would select new report. And here we want to look at the information. So I want, different titles. Select next. And I want to include the author's name, the title, but I'm focusing mainly on Lexile. And this is helpful for, again, like I said, if you have a student who comes in and says, Ms. Lauren, or, they call your name and say, my Lexile is a 600. Can you help me find some books in that level? This is helpful for that. Okay, so then once we've done that, we would start by the Lexile level, then I might want to go by the title, and then finally by the author. And we would do that, like next, next, okay, and we would select all of those. And here, report limiters. I want to start off by doing the Lexile, and I want to find books that are greater than 600, and Lexile, however, they are less than or equal to, let's say, 700. Once we've done that, we would click next. We would do Lexile. See, you've done it here. And then we would save and run that report. Oh, I've already done that, so I'm just going to do an _1. Save and run that report. And then here, we can refresh it. And let's see, where was it? I had it in here. We could view that report down here. And there we have all of those books that are in that Lexile range for the student. So I hope that you have enjoyed this tutorial and that it was very useful for you. Thank you.